Bam, we're live. All right, man, we are moving along this summer. Hoping you guys are as busy as I am. Days are flying by, right? It's crazy. We are in almost the end of July. All right, so welcome back to this 30-day AI prompt challenge. Obviously, you get the rift now. It's been expanded, okay? We are now into the day 38. So I'm just going every day. We'll bring you a new prompt, a new challenge that you can work on. And I would say that those of you that take advantage of it will see a big boost in business, right? I mean, guys, you don't get many opportunities like this in life to be on the forefront. Okay. I've seen revolutions in a sense from technology, right? I got to witness what the internet did when it first came out. Then I got to witness what like digital cellular phones, how that transformed industries. We are watching now how AI is going to transform a lot of people's lives and businesses. Now, it's not a fear factor. It's not like if you don't learn it, everything's going to go away. No, but those who do learn it and embrace it, your world will just expand, and where you'll be able to go is incredible. So today I went and test drove a Tesla Cybertruck Beast. And what was most amazing was I show up to do my test drive appointment, and the gentleman types in a destination onto the screen. For those of you that haven't been in the self automated driving vehicles, it's an experience. That's right. So I've been in like cars that are electric before. Okay. But to have this is what the gentleman did. He typed in a destination. He typed in a grocery store several blocks down the road, and he told me to just go ahead and tap the brake, or boom, this Cybertruck, almost 7,000-pound vehicle, just takes off. And I don't know, about 10 minutes later, I am at a grocery store. I did not do any of the driving. I was the only one in the vehicle, and that vehicle completely drove me from point A to point B. It navigated some exceptionally challenging intersections, roads. It drove better than I probably would have driven myself. So I say all that because that is what technology is bringing, right? And imagine in your business if you can have something driving it without you having to do that, right? It's the AI is what will help drive your business, just like that vehicle drove me to the store. I didn't have to do it. So, with that said, let me share the screen here and we'll get started. And I appreciate you going there. You know, it's always funny. I watch, so I don't pay as much attention to who's jumping in or jumping out on the lives, but I notice that people get scared when they jump in and they're like, oh, I don't see a bunch of other people. And then they jump out, whatever. Look, I'm not here to call on you, do anything. I'm just here to talk about AI. If you're interested in it, you stick around. If you're not, it's cool. You want to watch the replay later when it's not live, do that as well. All right. It's really not a big deal one way or the other. Give me a second here. I have to find the screen that I want to share. Okay, here we are. Boom. So again, right, we've been doing this 30-day AI challenge. I'm going to turn on a light. It's a little dark here. Give me 1 second. Maybe this will help. All right. So let's get into it. Boom. Again, look, if any of you have any questions at any point about AI, how to use it, what to do, how can you implement it specifically in your business, I dare you to ask me for help if you need it, right? Like, just try it. Go over. The best way to do it is go to the Facebook and get into the Remodelers Helping Remodelers Facebook group. Now, that's a free group, okay? I have other groups that are for paid things, but this is a free one. You can go into that group and post a question, or get connected to me and you can message me directly if that's something you're more comfortable with. Uh, I will say this: if you have a question, 9 out of 10 times, there's 30 other people at a minimum that have that question, but they're, for one reason or another, challenged to ask that question, right? To get an answer. So let's give me one other thing. It is really hot where I am. I want to adjust my air. Give me 1 second. All right. So here we go. Now, many remodelers, this has been my experience in the beginning, and even for a long time, I struggled with putting a price on a lot of jobs. I would have some anxiety about what to price it at when I knew that I was cutting it close, right? Because for one reason or another, I was like, oh, I can't charge that much. I might not get the job, or, there's, for whatever reason. What's interesting is whenever I put a really good profit margin on it and I just sent the price, you know what I mean? Like presented it, and I wasn't worried about it, I landed more of those jobs than the ones that I was concerned about. And what I believe is happening is a couple factors here. Homeowners pick up on your anxiety and your stress, and there's that discomfort. So if you're presenting a project and you're not real confident in the way you present, customer picks up on that. I don't know if you ever had this experience. I've landed a lot of jobs that I didn't think I was going to get. And sometimes I wasn't even sure if I did want it. So I just put a higher price on it and said, here's what it would cost, and this will do it. And I just moved on. I didn't have like much emotion tied to it. I landed way more of those jobs. The jobs where I was like, man, I really want to get this one. So let me do this and do that. And those jobs we struggled to get. So I say all that because I think it's a very real thing to have anxiety when estimating. And most of your estimating issues come down to not having a clear scope, and then you miss stuff and you forget. So a big thing is like daily setup, daily cleanup, transition time, right? Especially on like some jobs. The reason why some guys get crushed is because you're changing scope and you're doing this, and then you got transition. There's this setup, that breakdown, and you forget about all that. Okay. You got to remember, remodeling's not like building a brand new home. New home construction, the reason those guys can get their prices down is boom, they just come in. That's all they're doing is framing. That's it. Boom. Remodeling, you're moving around, you're changing, you're doing some framing, some sheetrock, some of this, some of that. And there's a lot of setup and breakdown and transition. You got to factor all that in. All right. And job sites are challenging. Where are you parking? How are you accessing your tools? How are you accessing the materials? How are you getting in and out of the house every day? All right. So this prompt theme, right? We want you to stop guessing your way to getting into jobs where you end up being broke, right? We want you to be able to use AI to build out a detailed scope and eliminate fear and help you protect so you get profit, and then position you as that professional who really just plans before they price, right? So if you've ever felt nervous giving someone a bid and you've lost sleep or had anxiety, right? It's not because you don't want the job. It's because sometimes you really don't know what the job's going to take, what it's going to cost, and you're uncertain. That's what your fear is usually about. Most remodelers are walking into estimates just totally exposed. And here's why, right? They're guessing and they're not taking the time. It's not finalized. We don't have a proper design that we're bidding off of, or we haven't really talked. Our subs don't know. They're just throwing out a number. You're throwing out a number, and then everybody forgets because everyone's running from the seat of their pants. Years ago, when cellular phones were first coming out, I remember I met with an electrical contractor, and he was running he had probably 45 vans on the road. Very, very good, successful. And I was talking to him about efficiencies and, why it was important to have the guys have cell phones in case they forgot stuff, in case they made mistakes. And he looked at me and he said, sounds to me like they don't know how to properly plan their day. Sounds to me like they don't understand how to get a detailed project plan ahead of time. He's like, when you do the work ahead of time, you don't have all the problems in the real time. It's a very true statement, and I'll never forget it. And he was correct. And what I see today is you have many people that are only used to being in a business that is chaotic, and they think that's just how businesses run because the other guy is chaotic and this guy's business is chaotic, right? It's chaos over here, it's chaos over there. That's just how business is. And until you've actually been pulled back or put into another business that has proper planning and organization and structure, it's only then that your eyes get opened and you're like, wow, I I've been running my business horribly for years. I could totally be doing it this way, and it's an eye-opening experience. So other things you got to focus on is guessing at the price doesn't work for anyone, right? If you haven't calculated your overhead, if you don't even understand your overhead or your burden, right? What's your break even? How do you figure out your profit margin, right? Are you going to underbid and lose money? Are you going to overbid? Like, how do you even know sometimes? A lot of guys just don't know their numbers. Now, I have spreadsheets. I can help you with that you can put your numbers into as long as you've been in business for 1 year. And you've kept records of things that you've had to buy or you pay for to stay in business. I can help you come up with all that so that you have to at least been in business for 1 year typically. All right. Guys are trying to win too soon. Instead of planning first and pricing second, a lot of you guys are reversing it, right? You're bidding prematurely to impress the client, and that's like trying to offer a surgery before you even have the diagnosis. Like, it's the other way around. You have to do the plan first, then go in and do the estimate. And some of you guys are scared to do it that way because your competition isn't doing it that way. And you think everyone has to do it that way. And it's not the case. All right. So no wonder if you feel this way, right? If your guts are tied up in a knot and you're having anxiety before you hit the send because you're emailing the quote. I mean, no wonder you walk away from that computer or that situation and you're just like, I hope it works out. So what if you shifted to more of what a professional design company or builder would do, right? What if you actually proposed our first step, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, is we need to come up with a design. We need to understand what we're going to be doing here. You need to understand it. We need to understand it. And we're going to do a full scope. We're going to do a workup. We're going to come up with some sketches, drawings. We're going to have all this understanding of the selections, what we're doing, how we're doing it. We do that first. Then, once we have the plan, now we can do a proper bid. Like in commercial jobs, a lot of guys get a set of plans to bid off of. And in residential remodeling, guys are shooting from the hip. They walk out, talk to the homeowner says, yeah, I want to remodel the kitchen. What are we going to do? I don't know. I just kind of move things around. I mean, it's all done by flying by the seat of your pants. And the best thing you can do is suggest to that homeowner, hey, we've had a lot of success with our other clients, and this is what we've done. We do a design first, right? You could even offer your design with a no strings attached. This is what I found works for me. I was very confident in my design work, and I would express it this way. I would tell the homeowner, we're going to do a design. We're going to give you a set of plans, the drawings. We're going to have a scope of work. We're going to even give you a schedule and the cost. And then you are free to take all of that and do whatever you want with it. You hire us, we'll credit you back, either a portion or the entire amount, just depending on the situation. So we'll let you use the money you've already spent to do the design to go forward with us for the remodel. You can take it and shop it with other people. Whatever you want, it's yours because you paid for the design. So you're getting paid to come up with your estimate. All your competition, they're not getting paid to come up with the estimate because you got paid to do the design, which was your estimate. Do you see how that works? That's the beauty of the system. You're getting paid. A lot of you guys sometimes don't even understand. You're going out to a homeowner to give them an estimate. Somebody else got paid to help the homeowner come up with a price. And now the homeowner's just seeing, can we get somebody else to do it for less? And you're running around doing it for free when you could have gotten paid to do it. So how you can use AI is you can help it document and write out a checklist for you so you don't forget things, right? You can get a nice detailed scope. It can be a clean and professional scope of work, right? It's a document that clarifies the path forward for this remodeling project. It just removes the guesswork. It removes it for you, and it removes it for the homeowner or the client. So now when you go to give the final price, you can be confident, you can be profitable, and you're respected because now you're not guessing. So how does that look? Like, you might put this inside of Chat GPT. You might say, hey, I'm a remodeling contractor and I'm preparing a professional scope of work and document for, and lay it out. It's a kitchen remodel, right? Include the project description, include the work, right? Exclusions, estimated duration, any key assumptions I'm making, next steps forward, final pricing, format it in a planning document that's clean, clear, and client ready, right? Use persuasive, confident language that reinforces with professionalism. Boom. So you can do things like you can put your logo, do some branding, mention that this was prepared as part of your paid planning process, whatever. You understand, like, you're presenting a proposal. It's kind of like if you ever had to do a report at school, you're doing your cover page, right? You're citing how your notes, citations. How did you come up with all this? Basic skills in writing go a long way in contracting because you can learn to formulate a really nice proposal or plan. And you can put that in a PDF. You can print that out. All right. You got to understand, you want to stop just being the guy that flies by the seat of the pants and wings it, right? Frequently, when we went out to meet with clients, they were sometimes a bit taken back by our process because no one else had done it that way for them. And many occasions, the homeowners would stop and say, is this how a lot of people remodel? And I would ask them, well, what is it that you mean by, is this how a lot of people? And they go, well, like, you're talking about having a plan first and taking a step back and not just jumping right into building. And we're going to make sure that we understand what we're getting ourselves into. I was like, yeah, that's how we have success. I was like, do you want to understand how we can complete hundreds of jobs a year? You want to talk to all of our satisfied clients, right? It's because we plan properly for success. We know we're going to be able to get the ball to the goal line, right? We know we're going to be able to start your job, finish it, and this is the time frame, and this is the cost, because we properly researched it and planned it up front with your assistance. Anyway, those of you that aren't doing it, you can literally just start. It's like taking candy from a baby. You can start pulling the homeowners in, and they'll be like, this is amazing. I don't know why we haven't done this before. So just imagine, right? What if you nailed this, right? Imagine showing up to that client and having that clear scope. You have the confident plan, and you have zero stress about presenting them the proposal. Like, this is how much this job is going to cost because you got paid to do the design. So it's no big deal now to hand them the final cost of the entire project that they're looking at. See, this puts you like in the driver's seat, and the client senses it, and they feel very confident. They trust you more. They ask they don't really talk so much. The only time the price comes up is if they truly if it's outside of their budget. And then it's like, well, what do we have to take out? How do we get it into our price range? They still want to hire you, right? So now you're just removing line items. You're maybe doing it in phases, I don't know. But maybe the flooring, you're not going to put in the flooring for them. Maybe you're not going to paint the final coat. Maybe you're just going to put it into primer mode, whatever. Now, some guys get all frustrated about it and like, well, but then I can't take amazing photos and I can't do this, whatever. Sometimes you got to ask yourself, is a $200,000 job better than a $225,000 job? If the profit margin's the same, well, just take the one that works. If it's only $200,000 job, just take the 200. The profit margin is going to be equal, right? Is a percentage. All right. So that's the power of that positioning, right? You're not just giving them over like a document. It's a confidence weapon. So I would tell you your challenge really is just, why don't you pick a past job, or let's look at one. If you have a job that you're getting ready to go forward with this, you can reach out to me. I can help walk you through how to position yourself to do the paid plan first. That way you get paid to come up with the actual estimate for the entire project. I can walk you through that, right? So reminder, when you have fear in estimating, it doesn't mean you're broken. It just means you're doing it out of order. No wonder you're afraid because you don't have all the information. You're just guessing. So plan first, price second, and get paid for both. So here's the prompt checklist, right? And this is what it produces. So we're going to get like a project overview, summarize the scope. We're going to get job site location details. We're going to make sure we have a good scope of work. Right, we're going to see if there's any exclusions. I'm not going to go through all of this. That's the kind of stuff we do a little bit more in our program. If you want to get into like the Remodel Rebels program, like we can really get down into the nitty gritty. But you want to understand the estimated project duration, any of the key assumptions, site protection measures. You want to explain to the homeowner like, hey, here's how we're going to, these hardwood floors. So you want us coming in, let's say they have you coming in through the garage and it's a laundry room at first, right? Or a mud room. And maybe there's VCT or tile. So you're going to protect that. And then you got to traverse through maybe the family room, which is nice hardwoods, to get to where you're putting this, you're remodeling this space. Well, how are you going to protect from A to B? You got to explain that to them. Hey, we're going to put down some paper. We're going to have tarps. We're going to use ram board, right? We're going to put ram board on the floor and we're going to put it on the hallway because sometimes our guys are carrying crap in their hands or they have a tool belt on. So we want to make sure the hammer or something doesn't nick the wall, right? Like you got to get into these details, explain to them like, yeah, we protect, up to 3 feet high on hallways with ram board so that we're not damaging the, especially when you're working on nicer properties. Homeowners want to hear that you have a plan for how you're going to protect their property to get to the space that you're actually remodeling for them. You talk about your demolition plan. How are you going to control what about the dumpster? What is your plan for the dumpster? Do you explain to them, hey, we don't put dumpsters here or there because of this or that? In fact, what we do is this is how we go about, we're going to secure a spot. And initially I'm thinking it would be over here. Does that work for you? And the reason why I've picked that spot is because there we could lay down either our plywood or our 2x12s because our dumpsters, we don't set them directly on asphalt, concrete, whatever, right? And we're not going to put them up against the house. We put them over here, or we're going to have a permit because it has to go out on the street, or, we don't want to have all the neighbors dump all their crap. So we're going to stage the debris and then move it into the dumpster, and the dumpster's only going to be here for like 24 hours. I don't know. Like these are all things that you just should discuss and have a plan so you can explain to the homeowner why it works the way it's working, right? Like in my area, if you work in Baltimore City, permit could be minimum of like, I don't know what it is exactly today right now, but it, might be 75, $100 just for, and then you better not leave it in there overnight because you come back the next day, shit's going to be coming over the sides, and the dumpster company's going to knock all that crap off into the street. You're going to be responsible for it. So many a time, I would work out with the dumpster company and say, hey, I need you to drop it off at like 7 in the morning. I need you to come back at 3 o'clock. And that was it, right? Like, and sometimes we'd have it for just 3 hours and we'd have to place it in an alley. I mean, just some crazy things you have to do to make it work. Painting details. Oh, if a scope of work, when you have paint, you want to talk about everything. So let's talk about paint real quick. This is always a good one. You don't just want to tell them we're going to paint the kitchen. You want to talk about, well, we're going to prime it first. And then we're going to point it up. And then we're going to do a first coat and a second coat. And the way we're going to roll it, we're going to brush it, right? We're going to use this brand paint. This is the finish that we're going to use. That is a scope of work, not just that we're going to paint the kitchen. So clean up, material and tool staging, and where are you going to put things, parking, access, restroom facilities, that should be discussed. What about utilities? Is there going to be power, heat? Are you going to be using theirs? You bring in your own? What are the expected working hours, days? What's the duration? How are you going to handle permits and inspections? Is the homeowner supposed to be there? Are you going to take care of it? Is your project manager going to do it? Whatever. So I would suggest that you guys factor in all that kind of stuff. And to show you what that could look like, right? Like this is a checklist that you could easily make. Now I have checklist for every single scope, trade. But for instance, a proper, here's our project. We're going to summarize the project scope, the client's vision in clear, confident language, right? So we're going to get into, make sure we're breaking down everything: demolition, framing, mechanicals, finishes. This is just checklists that you can use to make sure you're doing it right. Exclusions. Is there anything that you're not doing that somebody might assume? And see, here's the problem. You can never figure out what someone's going to assume or not assume. So you need to clearly state anything that you might not be doing that someone possibly could think would be related. So for instance, if you have a client that says, hey, we just want you to prime the kitchen, we're going to take care of getting it painted later. And if you're agreeable to that, you have to clearly put an exclusion there. We are leaving the finish as primer only. We are not putting a finish coat of paint on the surfaces. And then what surfaces? So we're not putting a finish coat on the ceiling. We're not doing a finish coat on the walls. We're not doing a finish coat on the doors, the trim, the baseboard, casing, door jambs. List all that out. Otherwise, if you get called in and there's some sort of a dispute and it goes to arbitration, somebody could say, well, you said you were going to paint. If your agreement says I'm painting the kitchen, but you meant prime what? How? With what? All right. Hopefully that is good. Tonight was a little bit long. This is a lot. Look, the details are going to kill you in this business. You want to make sure that you're prepared and if you're not a detail guy, then you want to bring someone in on the company that is a detail person that can help you with this part of the process, or at least get like your AI agent to be your detail person. And you can explain to the homeowner, say, hey, I'm not going to read through all this with you. I'd like you to read through it, but I want to highlight a couple of key things, however it works for you. All right. Thanks for tuning in. We have another good one, I think, and we are moving along. So at this point, we've had 38 days of AI prompts for you guys to look at. Again, if you have any questions, you can go back in our YouTube channel, go to live or workshops, and then you'll see each day lined out. Okay. And it's just going to keep growing. Probably when I hit 50, I might make a shift, is what I'm thinking. I have a special one already planned, I think, for the 50th. And then after that, we might change up the format a little bit. So we're just at 38 now. So you'll have at least, what's that, like 11, 12 more to go. All right, guys. Enjoy. Take care.